Hey folks, welcome to Two Kinds of Music. Why two kinds of music? Well, I truly believe that there are only two kinds of music. There's music I like and music I don't like. On this channel, I will be primarily focused on discussing the music that I love. I view this channel as a kind of celebration of the huge wide world of music, and I love so much music. Now, I am not a music critic, and I won't be reviewing new albums in that typical kind of review format. I will leave that for the other channels who are way better at that than I will ever be. While I definitely do prefer certain styles of music over others, I really do listen to a little bit of everything. I have a list of genres here that I enjoy: rock, rap, hip-hop, prog rock, jazz, pop, ska, reggae, punk, metal, black metal, industrial, electronic, dance, folk, bluegrass, country, world, new age, ambient, AOR, and more. And all kinds of subgenres within those other genres. I simply like good music, or at least music that sounds good to me. I'm really into 80s and 90s music, but I also listen to older stuff, and I make sure to check out new albums as much as I can. In 2024, I listened to over 400 new to me albums. I'm constantly searching for good music that I haven't heard before. Some of my favorite bands and artists, my all-time favorite is Bob Dylan. Big surprise, a Gen X white dude who likes Dylan. Shocking, I know. My favorite band of all time is the Beach Boys, but I also like Public Enemy, Cypress Hill, Tears for Fears, Brian Eno, Harold Budd, Daniel Lanois, King Crimson, Emmylou Harris, Graham Parsons, Tim Buckley, Miles Davis, Weather Report, Return to Forever, and the Pet Shop Boys, and stuff like that. I listen to a little bit of everything. I think the only style of music that I don't really own any of is like opera and polka music. I guess, well, maybe if you consider Weird Al polka, then maybe I do own some polka music, but I don't own any opera. I have yet to hear an opera that I really like. I just don't enjoy that kind of singing, but hey, I'm open to it. So maybe I'll hear an opera someday that just absolutely floors me. There are a lot of bands and groups that I don't like, but I'm going to leave that negativity to other music channels. Recently, I started watching more music YouTube, and I started following a few older dudes, probably my age, Gen X or so, and they're quite popular on YouTube, and they spend a lot of time on topics like the 10 bands we hate and stuff like that. And I know it's easier to generate clicks with rage bait stuff, but that's just not something I'm interested in doing. As an example, here are some recent CDs that I purchased. Let's see here, a new group of CDs. I recently got ABC, the Lexicon of Love. We have Oingo Boingo Farewell, their last live Halloween concert. Two albums by Gentle Giant, their first two albums. These were the first two full Gentle Giant albums that I've ever heard. Pretty good. Tears for Fears, The Hurting. Tears for Fears is one of my favorite bands ever. Meat Beat Manifesto, Satyricon. Bad 2, Big Audio Dynamite 2, The Globe. The Flaming Lips, Hit to Death in the Future Head. A few more here. The Agrolites, Reggae Hit LA. They're a really, really good reggae band. As a matter of fact, Brian Dixon, their guitarist, I was in an old ska band with Brian Dixon called Checkmate out of California. A Corner Shop album here. What's the name of this album? Woman's Gotta Have It. Pretty good album. I don't like it as much as I Was Born for the Seventh Time, but that's a pretty cool album. I picked up a new copy to replace my old tape of Madonna's The Immaculate Collection. What a brilliant collection that is. A really cool old 80s band called Orange Juice, and this is their album Rip It Up. A new band, or new word to me, and that is a band called Low Moon. And what is this album called? I can't read that. It's so tiny and it's a little dark in here. But this Low Moon album there, really good album. They remind me a lot of Talk Talk, and that's how I found out about them. Somebody said, hey, if you like Talk Talk, check out Low Moon. And Talk Talk is another band that I love. The Happy Mondays, Pills, Thrills, and Bellyaches. Aztec Cameras, Stray. What a pop album that is. and Lorelei's first album. Lorelei is a really underappreciated kind of 90s shoegaze kind of dream pop band that I don't think ever got the recognition that they deserve. So I'm also not an audiophile, even though I do really appreciate those kinds of big, expensive, lavish productions. My favorite album of all time is one of the most expensive albums ever recorded. We'll talk more about that later, but I'm not really an audiophile at all. I mainly only listen to full albums, and I download full albums via Apple Music. My preferred physical medium is the CD. I really like CDs, but I also buy digital albums from Bandcamp, and I do use YouTube quite a bit for music, especially for older out-of-print new age music, because a lot of that old new age music was only put out on tape during the early DIY days of the new age music movement. And a lot of that stuff has never come out on CD and it's never been reprinted. So there are a few channels that post a lot of great old new age music, and they are fantastic. What a resource. YouTube is such a good resource for out-of-print music. I have an okay stereo system. It's pretty good. I like it, but it's not something that I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on. I think I spent about $800 on my stereo system recently, and I don't plan on spending any more on it anytime soon. One thing is I'm not a vinyl guy. You'll never see a wall of vinyl records behind me. I was in the 90s. I liked vinyl in the 90s, and that was only because it was dirt cheap, and I didn't have a lot of money in the 90s growing up. I was born in the 70s, but in the 90s when I started working and moving out of my parents' home and all of that, I just didn't have a lot of money to spend on music, so vinyl was a perfect way to go because you could barely give vinyl away in the 90s. A lot of kids these days won't believe that, but it's true. I mean, we're talking first pressings of stuff like Dark Side of the Moon with the poster inserts were under $1 at various thrift stores. You could pick up vinyl for nothing. It was pretty amazing. But these days, for me, vinyl is just too expensive. It's too big. I don't like having to get up to switch sides. I feel like that kind of adds this kind of arbitrary timer to my listening enjoyment, and I feel it disrupts the flow of the album. When things are quiet, I listen to a lot of quiet music, especially that kind of new age and ambient music. I want to hear the quietness. I want to hear the nothing. I don't want to hear the medium of the vinyl. And also vinyl is just too big. I have a small house. It's too big, takes up too much room to store. So I'm just not a vinyl guy. I'm a CD and a digital guy. One of the main series that I'll be focusing on the channel will be called 3 Albums. And in this series, I will pick 3 albums that I love from bands and different genres and just discuss those 3 albums. I will also be joined by some friends during some of those episodes because I think it's always fun to discuss music with people who appreciate it. So yeah, I hope you join me on my journey through 2 kinds of music, and hopefully we can talk about some great music, some great artists and bands and genres that we love, and keep the negativity in check, keep it at bay. I don't mind being critical, and I am very critical about the kinds of music I love and the bands I love. Take, for instance, one of my favorite bands for a long time was the Flaming Lips. But I think they have a lot of albums that I just don't like, and I still consider them one of my favorite bands, and that's perfectly okay. It's good to be discerning listeners and discerning consumers. It's good to be very thoughtful of how we choose to spend our time and money on our hobbies. So, yep, that's it. Just a quick introduction to 2 kinds of music. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.